So let's get rocking and rolling with this week's masterclass, where we are going to talk about minimum viable product, offer creation, and essentially the key components for testing whether your market resonates with what it is that you're selling. That's really what this theme is going to be about. And we're going to talk a little bit about us both using MVP strategies in our own stuff that we're launching right now. I have some new stuff that I've been putting out there, which is very exciting. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about times in the past that I've used minimum viable product. So for anyone who's watching this replay or even on the call, hi Grace, welcome. For anyone who's not sure, minimum viable product is basically what it means is you're getting the most bare bones skeleton version of your offer, your solution, out into the market to test if it resonates. So an example of something that's not minimum viable product would be building an entire app, launching it, and then realizing that it's the wrong positioning to the wrong market and people don't care and buy it. But you've spent 6 months building an app, or I mean, obviously now with Lovable, it's not 6 months, it's like a lot less. But the point stands, right? You do not build the finished product before you test the market. And an offer that, an example that I used to use all the time back in the day, John, you might remember this, was people that launched coaching programs, coaching products. And I always used to say, do not build your coaching program, your 13 module coaching program before seeing if people buy it. And so a typical way to launch a coaching program is let's say, create the first week, then try and sell it online with various different types of online marketing available. Once you find people that want to buy it and they buy the course, you structure the course so that it's a week by week. Then you start creating week 2 for the second week, now that you've got people coming through the front door because you know they resonate. And what that enables you to do is you could launch, fail, launch, fail, launch, fail, launch, fail. And that's just 4 weeks, as opposed to building the entire course for 13 weeks, launch, and then realize it's wrong and then have to do it all again. Okay, so this is the theme of today's call. It's minimum viable products. Now, on last week's masterclass, we talked about a workflow, which I didn't quite appreciate, I'd say like 2 weeks ago. This is the perplexity workflow.
Oh yeah.
I didn't quite appreciate how useful this workflow is. So for anyone who's not sure what I'm talking about, last week's replay is in the classroom, in the school community, and we were focusing on the first stage of starting a business, which is market research, customer avatar or ICP, ideal client profile, or offer creation, which we're merging into this week. But in a nutshell, it's finding out what are your target market's pains and problems. What do your potential customers, what are they frustrated with? What problems are they struggling to solve in their lives? And a lot of this research is about voice of customer. So going on like review sites like Trustpilot and Google reviews and checking out forums. This is all done by the AI, but it tries to learn what are customers talking about, customers in your target market. What are they talking about? I wish there was things that could do this. I'm so frustrated with this problem. Has anyone figured out how to solve it? Blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So what this workflow, the reason I'm mentioning it again is this week alone, I believe we've used it 3 times for
Are you
3
counting
different...
today for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally earlier today, Amy's. So do you want to explain what you're launching? This is very interesting. So she's launching, and we could talk about MVP for this.
I'm launching a brand new business in Bali. It's a dog park. It's a membership-based dog park for expats who have dogs. Because if you live here, you know that there's not really sidewalks, and you kind of just let your dog roam free, and we don't know if it'll come back or get hit by traffic. So it's a little bit dangerous to just have free roaming dogs. And so we are. Wow, it just zoomed in.
Yeah, no, it's don't worry. Okay. Carry on.
And so Sophia and I are actually launching a membership-based dog park. And in the time today where it took me an hour to create a Google form with questions that I was going to send to people and ask what their pain points are with their dog and try to get some market research going. Dan was like, "Do you just want to use my workflow?" So in 10 minutes, it created these amazing market research documents with every question I could ever have about someone in that particular niche or market, offers for them, objection handling, and then it cited resources that were all about, in Bali specifically, X amount of people have dogs, X amount of people. These are the complaints that they see. So it scraped all the relevant websites from Bali. So it's very location specific. Yeah, so sharing it right now. This is just a little bit of it. And we're not going to share too many details because we've got a masterclass. But I mean, this just goes to show, I created a Google form and I think maybe one person filled it out right now. So this saved me. This was probably a 5-minute or 10-minute thing.
So to actually run the workflow,
It
took like it's there's 4 questions, and it's literally, is this B2B
Yeah.
or B2C? B2C. What's the name of the business?
And I had all of those documents ready to go within 10 minutes.
And yeah, it runs, and then the workflow
Yeah.
takes 10 minutes to do all the stuff, and then produce.
Versus I took an hour, embarrassingly, to create a Google form, and then nobody filled it out yet. So I haven't even started. Here I am sitting for an hour, and I haven't even started the market research process because people still need to fill it out, which means I need to find people to fill it out. So it's just crazy how, again, it doesn't take away from the reason that someone builds a business, right? It doesn't take away from the heart behind or the story behind why the founders are creating it. It simply is a tool that helps the market research and offer creation process for business owners.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. So as Amy says, that's one example of using this this tool, and the purpose of it. So the main value of having these documents is context for everything else that you do.
Yeah.
So now all your other AI stuff that you're going to do, you've got 4 highly targeted documents that you can always feed the AI for context to create marketing content, or to come up with, again, more offer ideas, or to, develop like other agents for handling customer questions. Just like the whole thing is basically an FAQ document of your entire purpose for building the business in this market. Email campaigns is one I'll talk about in a minute. Go on.
Yeah. What I love too is let's assume I had spent every waking hour sending my Google form to people to fill out.
Mm.
At the end of the week, I might have 30 responses. That's, if people also don't have jobs, I guess. They fill it out and then I have all these responses. I still don't know. I would have to think of the next step. How do I then create the business? How do I create the offers? What are the objection handling questions that I would get? And so this has it all. It was so easy for me. I clicked a button.
Let me ask a question, Mike, because this is something that crossed my mind earlier today, and I was like, maybe this would be a good idea. I know that not all of you guys watching the replay, and also, I don't know, John, are you using N8N at the moment, or have you had a play around with it but not actively using it? Are you using it?
No. I want to. That's
Okay.
why I'm here. I want to get into it.
Got it. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So a thought that I had is, not everybody wants to pay the $20 a month to use N8N and also deal with the learning curve, because it is a fairly steep learning curve, but very valuable. So I was thinking, well, would it be useful for me to just create a really simple user interface where people in the community could run some of these workflows themselves? So, for example, that's a yes from John. Okay, brilliant. My thinking would be because I'm starting to build them now from the ground up, so that the whole workflow can run off just a few fields in the first node. So I'm basically structuring the whole workflow to take the content from the first few fields, which means I can build a simple user interface where you guys, for example, it should just be like a web page. We say, ask the questions. What's your product service that you're offering? Give a 1-sentence description of your UVP. What's the name of your business? And is it B2B or B2C? And then run the workflow. And then I'll charge I don't know, $10 or something to cover all of the token costs, because it's actually quite expensive to run. I think Perplexity is $1.50, and then the Claude ones are very token heavy. So it's a few dollars to run it. But something like that. So instead of paying for the N8N license, I just want to generate these documents, just one-off payment of $8 and $10, whatever it is. John's like, thumbs. And also off the back of that, if we do this, then everything that I start building, thanks, John. Everything that I start building, like workflows, again, if we've always got this little front end user interface where you can go, oh, okay, use this workflow and just pay like a one-off fee or something like that just to cover token costs. And then it does the, the next stage of the process, whatever that might be. Could be an idea for this community. So, okay, so we have thumbs up from John.
What this workflow solved for me today, I was telling Sophia, this took the place of like an entire market research team.
Yeah.
For at least a month, probably more so a quarter.
It's like, it's a lot of information. You're right.
It's
to
a lot of
sift through
information.
that.
Yeah.
And I could, we could also,
yeah.
no, 2 months. Okay. Good stuff, Sophia. Yeah, so it's a lot of information, takes a lot of time, of course. And, at the moment it's just a Google Doc, it's text, but there's other things we could do as well. Like if you wanted, for example, a customer facing document created off it, that could be a later workflow. And Investor deck. Yeah. So for example, one that I built, this is slightly off topic, but a quick 30 seconds just to demonstrate something. Let me share screen. So these are the kind of things like we could start doing templates. Like, oh, what's going on? Accept cookies.
Presentation.
Oh, am I not logged in? So log me out. I've got Fathom in the way. I've got Zoom in the way.
I think you're logged in. No?
Yeah, I think so. Is it working? Oh, okay, this guy here. Yeah, so I think I think I showed this briefly last week. Let me just get Fathom up there. There we are. So like this is the kind of thing, using all of the context. This was built for the other brand that I'm launching, Crayon Construct. And this was created using the research document, the ICP document, the offers document, and it's a slick PDF that we now have as a downloadable resource on our website. And the email campaign that I'm sending, this is one of the things that we offer as a free lead magnet.
What I love too is it's written in a way that you cannot tell it's AI. I've read through this. You sent it to me.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with really anything. I mean, especially us being in the community and we are working with AI every day, we know when something is AI. But then with something so good, like the market research that came back, and then that document that you put together, I can't tell that's AI. That seems like, again, like for 3 months, a market research team wrote it, with the copyright and everything, like by hand. You can't tell. That's probably my favorite thing about all of these workflows that you're specifically building is like, it doesn't look robotic. There's no EM dashes. It's not written in a way where you can just, you can tell if you've been around AI. I really love that.
Yeah, there's an example just on this point. I received an email, Chris Howard's thing.
Yeah.
I sit there slating him, but like I don't know if I'll be able to find the email, but it's just like, so here there's a guy that did an event, like a coach guy.
Are his emails AI?
Oh my God, it's ChatGPT. And there's no other modifications. It's just pure ChatGPT. It's EM dashes. It's not a coaching event. It's a transformation. Like that's a template ChatGPT copywriting format that it will use for everything. And then there's another one at the end that was like the sign off follows the same structure every single time. It's like a ChatGPT sign off, and it's a little thing, but and it's. In a way, I was thinking about this to myself. I was like, is it ironic that I'm really put off from, this event? I didn't go. I didn't go to the event because I was getting fed the content all week. And it was just so
Oh, that's
template.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you did not actually attend because of that.
Because of that.
I did want to ask you, what do you think this is a podcast, I guess?
Yes.
What would you say? What would you say is the downside that people need to know about that? About not rereading like articles that they write or creating a PDF like what you just showed, but like it does sound like a robot. What would you say are the repercussions?
Yeah, so I'd say the obvious answer is no effort, but it's not just that, because honestly, if the output quality is really good, if it's a solid, valuable piece of content, maybe part of that is the perception that someone's put effort into it, but more than that is just knowing and trusting that this has actually been vetted and qualified as information. And I know that if someone's literally just copy dumped out of ChatGPT's output and just dropped it in the WhatsApp message and dropped it in the email and changed nothing, because I look at that copy and I'm like, it's raw ChatGPT. It's so it's so obvious, and I'm like, okay, you've put zero effort into it, and also you might as well be saying nothing. Like none of this is relevant information other than you've gone, write me a piece of content about my event. Here's the PDF, boom. And then it's generated that. And I'm like, all you're doing is, your focus is, we want to just get people to come to the event for minimum effort. And the focus isn't, we want to provide value. That's what it tells me. I'm like, it's not value. And I was thinking about this in myself. I was like, is it ironic that we build AI workflows, we teach this every single day? And I'm like, I'm not going to this event because you've just been using trash AI. But then I was thinking, I don't know.
There's an underlying understanding that it's a lack of trust.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust someone, you're not going to buy from them.
Yeah.
That's business.
As I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it becomes, okay, well, what is the right way to do it?
Right.
And I think the right way to do it is, and this is the difference, when we're building and talking about these workflows, for example, the market research workflow that we've just talked about, and then using these documents as context for content generation. So we do this in various other things. Again, one that I just showed you was the PDF. Okay. So feeding in the right context, feeding in context of tone. So I use my Fathom transcripts a lot, like actually me speaking in a full transcript. And that's then what the content is modeled off of. It reads very differently, from just template ChatGPT. Now, in terms of the effort thing, obviously I'm not sitting there like typing out the content word for word, and the time it takes me, funnily enough, is probably less, because one of the problems we solve is I build a workflow where you don't have to sit there copying and pasting from ChatGPT. I'm probably taking less time, but I know that the quality is good because of the context that I'm feeding into the workflows that I'm building. That's the difference. It's like the context is of high quality and it's structured in a way that enables a good, solid output that I know is valuable. Like my LinkedIn content, I proofread it, I do look through it. It takes me minutes, like 7 minutes to do a week's worth of content last week with my LinkedIn workflow. It just generates it, posts it to my Slack. I look at it, go, yeah, done.
But really high quality content.
But it's, exactly. Yeah. It's using my own transcripts for my Fathom calls, my tone. It's got full context, market research, everything. ICP is all fed in. It's generated from that base. And I check it, I read it, I make sure it's good. But when I hit post, I know that the message that is saying is something that's actually aligned with, what I talk about and what I believe. And therefore, much better than just sending template ChatGPT trash, which is really honestly not
Chat trash.
Chat trash.
John said something in the chat. We need the workflow to create PDF lead magnets of that level of quality. Ours is 1 out of 10.
Okay.
Obviously we'll pay. Yeah.
Cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, these kind of things. Go on, John.
The reason I'm saying that is because it's not because I'm copying out of doing the work. I want to be able to create my own, but I think it's a less scary in for someone like me,
Yeah.
So it's not that I want to depend on you. It's not that I want to exploit you. It's just that I want to get going with this. I want to get going with this, and I want to be able to do it for, teach a man to fish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think if you give him 1 or 2 fishes at the outset, it might get him, hooked. Are you with me?
John, you're such a legend. Oh my God.
Not a fish.
I'll give him, look, honestly, exploit is such a funny way of putting it. Of course not. It's providing a service and finding something that's valuable. Finding fish to provide as the process of teaching a man to fish. I love it, mate. No, of course. And this is great feedback.
It's really good feedback.
Is this something that we tried to do actually for many months in the community? What do you guys want? What do you struggle with? What would be good?
What are the use case scenarios? Here's kind of what we can do. What's a use case scenario? And then we can refine it.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here.
And this is a great example. So thank you, John. Feel free to exploit away if that's exploit us, John. It's all good, mate. Okay, good. Right, where were we? I've lost my train of thought.
We were going to show them the offer creation.
I did the email. I did the offer creation. Yeah. Okay, let me just check my Notion notes. So, okay, market research offers. Yeah, developing the minimum viable products. I was going to talk a little bit about that. So let's go into the minimum viable product, and I'll talk about it first of all through the lens of the launch that I've just done in the last 24 hours?
Yeah.
That's when it was last night. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, it was last night.
you might remember, some of you guys that have been in the community for a while. I started doing a launch a business in 2 weeks course when I was doing my first email outreach campaign with the danholloway.co website. So it's basically my own offer to sales and marketing, my own AI sales and marketing solution offer to agencies, UK agencies. And that campaign, we got it launched in 2 weeks, which was hence the name of the course. And then got some traction, had some sales calls. It was kind of the first crack at it. Reply rate wasn't too good, but I never really built out the course in the way that I wanted to. So now I have a business partnership with another British guy that I met here in Bali. His name's Matt, legend, and he consults and was the lead AI what's the word? The lead AI advisor for Edinburgh University. And if you don't know, because I didn't know, Edinburgh University is extremely technologically advanced. They have one of only 6 quantum computers that exist on planet Earth. IBM has one, Google has one, there's a couple of other big tech guys, and then Edinburgh University randomly has a quantum computer. So Matt's done a lot of work with them and has worked on a lot of really cool projects with things like Chilean mining companies and, you know, private investigator software that can track missing persons, like all sorts of really cool use cases that he's used. So anyway, the point is, we launched this brand, and I might as well put it on the screen just because I think we'll be talking about it over the coming weeks, and people can just get familiar with some of the lessons that we'll share.
So what is his relationship with construction?
Yeah, so his past experience, for example, Chilean mining. I mean, I know nothing about mining companies, really, Chilean mining companies in particular. But he has expertise in quite a few of these projects that are in construction type sectors. And so what ended up happening was me and him sat together. We were interested in a partnership because he's a systems architect. He's very good at what he does. And I'm a sales and marketer, and he hates sales and marketing. He despises it. He's like, I don't want anything. I just want to build stuff. I'd love it if someone could, you know, support me on all the sales and marketing stuff. And then I get to build, and then we do 50-50. And like, that would be a dream relationship. So we ended up working together, and we figured out through looking at his experience and target markets and potential revenue and all this kind of stuff, that cost estimation software to construction businesses would potentially be a lucrative target market where we could leverage his experience. So the first thing that we did was ran my Perplexity workflow, my market research, my ICP generation for that market, and also 3 more, but for that market that was the one that we chose to start with. And we smashed together the website and all of the content that I just whizzed through. A lot of that was used from the backbone of the research doc, the ICP docs, and so on and so forth. And then this is the the point that's relevant to MVP, minimum viable product. The first thing that we're now doing before we do anything else is we need to test if the offer that we have resonates with that market. So I've put together, again, another personalized email outreach campaign similar to the first one. So this isn't the call to go through. I'm actually going to consider that on next week's call. This marketing call next week. But in a nutshell, it's an automated email campaign. I generated the qualification, the email personalization copy using each of the company's websites. I've got 8,500 company records for Aussie construction companies. That's where we're starting.
Yeah.
And that's my email workflow that's run that. And we're starting with running cold email outreach to those businesses. And the idea is, does the offer that we have resonate? Do people reply, inquire, book sales calls, and can we convert a sales call? What we're not doing is building out a cost estimation solution now to spend 3 months, 4 months, 5 months building this thing and then realizing the target market's wrong and we should try another one. We're taking shots, right? This shot might flop. I don't think it will, because I'll share my first results in a second, but
yeah, I'll chime in too. Thanks,
babe. So this shot might flop, and then we're gonna, next one on the hit list will be HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. It's another potential lucrative market. And then another potential one is property development. So that's another one we got in the mix. Could we target them? So we're taking these shots with the email outreach. with the offer that we've come up with a simple website that we threw together. He used it doesn't matter what he used, it's a coding thing. And then if we start getting traction, we close a deal, and then we start building what that client wants, the solution. And once we know, because we have a few clients, what does the market tend to gravitate towards, what do they want, then we start looking at productizing. Like we build something where it's like we sell a product instead of custom solutions. Feel free to chime in.
So what I believe is a really important point that I don't know that you stated is that when you're looking at your target audience, who's the market? It is specifically, can you explain who the market is? It's commercial HVAC in Australia.
The
Did I get that right?
It's construction businesses.
Commercial construction businesses.
Yeah, HVAC's a separate.
Commercial construction in Australia. Are there any other qualifications? Like age of like business, or how many people, or a dollar amount?
Yeah, so it's less than 50 employees, over 1 million revenue.
Okay. So I think this is an important point. I think when people start businesses, they're like, and I did this too, so I'm speaking on behalf of like myself too, is like, do you go too wide or too broad? Also, I believe, similar to what you said, people are sometimes get caught up in like the all-in-one solution. Let's build the everything for this huge market. And then you end up really not being able to sell anyone because it's not niched down enough. So you're solving one problem, the estimator tool, the estimation, because that costs them the most amount of time and they hate doing it. You have one pain point to one small market. And I think when you talk about MVP, and when you guys are thinking about MVP and starting a new business and a new idea, that is so important, because the whole like idea of like an all-in-one solution for every single customer that could ever fall between 18 and 80 years old, you're probably not going to sell to people because it's going to be such a wide range. People won't understand that it's for them.
Thank you for mentioning that. That is Amy's right. It's so important. And funnily enough, I actually had this exact conversation with Matt, my business partner, when we were launching this, because he's like, yeah, well, Australia is a good market, but we should also include the Middle East. That's a really good market. They've got a lot of money. And then we've got to think about also, we should probably put mining in here as well, because that's where we got the experience of like construction and mining and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right, bro, we've got to start. We're not locking ourselves in for all of time into this is all we do. We can expand, but what we're doing, think of it like the tip of a spear, right? We're trying, as Amy said, we're trying to find one offer to one market that converts, because it's the exact thing for that exact target customer that they need right now, hyper focused. And if it converts and we start selling and it starts working, then you start looking at other veins of gold. You go, okay, well, if it works with construction in Australia, now let's try targeting construction in the Middle East. And if it works with both of them, then we go, okay, well, there's another one that you wanted to do, which was like luxury, high-end airline charters. He's got experience in that industry. And it's like, okay, well, are there similar tools, like could cost estimations somehow apply to a different industry, where we do the same solution for different industry? But you don't do that until you've spearheaded one offer, one target market. An example I used to give, just to really drill this point home, John, you'll remember this. So I used to do an example on my webinars every week. And it was, look, let's imagine you have a business and suddenly your roof falls in because your plumbing has exploded, right? Water's pissing through the roof. And you're like, oh my God, what do we do? Like this showroom's getting destroyed. It's a nightmare. You go on Google, you're like, whoa, emergency plumbing solutions, trying to look for someone to help you. And let's say you see 2 Google search results. Google's really not, doing its part, but let's imagine there's only 2 results, right? Result number 1 is, hi, I'm John Smith, handyman. I can build your driveways. I can paint your roof. I can do your felt flat roof. I can do whatever you need, and plumbing as well. I do that too. And then your second result is specialist emergency commercial B2B plumbers. We help you with your plumbing emergencies, guaranteed response time, guaranteed this, that, related to emergency plumbing situations for commercial businesses.
That's such a niche.
But who are you going to call? You're not going to call John Smith. You're going to call the specialists, because you have a problem that needs solving. And this is something, again, chances are, and this doesn't apply all the time, and I will give a couple of quick examples, but chances are you're not niche enough 9 times out of 10. Right? Try and think, when you're launching your offer, Try and think, how can I make the tip of the spear sharper? One specific target market, one offer that solves a problem that they have. Because what you want is for your perfect customer, when you start marketing, you want your perfect customer to see this offer and go, my God, this is exactly what I and only I need. They're speaking to just me with this. This is the perfect solution for me.
And when they do that, psychologically, they justify the cost a lot of the time.
Exactly. High price point, because you can have the generalist for $20, or you can have the specialist that's guaranteed to work for you and your solution and get the problem solved for $100. People often pay the 100, you know? So that's just something to keep in mind. And one quick caveat to that, like there's a lot of life coaches in Bali. Everyone under the sun is a life coach. You couldn't get more general than possible. It's a terrible idea. But some people do take it to the extreme in the other direction. And they're like, I'm a specialist, the feminine divine cacao ceremony for this, that thing, and this specific group of people in the blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, your market size is probably 4 people on the island. It's not big enough, right? That's the exception, you know, something that just is like fringe cases like that. And I sort of tease the life coaching.
If they have 4 people, but each one is worth $100,000, and that's their salary, who are we to say, you know?
Who
Niche down, babies. How do
you find those people?
How do you feel about emails versus polls?
Yeah, let me answer that.
How to determine their qualification to purchase yours?
So Sophia's asked a question, good question. How do you feel about emails versus polls? How do you determine their qualification to purchase your services, i.e. you were running social media polls or community polls versus an email send out? If the market votes on your product, what is your process to qualify the buyer? Great question. So I have some thoughts on polls. And one of the key things when you're launching an MVP, you're trying to test intent. The problem with just a poll or an email sign up or a wait list or things like that, it's okay as an interim, and it's good to have a wait list because it's like an initial group of people to market to when you do go live. But wait list does not mean intent. Wait list does not mean hand over their credit cards. You know, if you, for example, if you went out in just on the streets of Bali or just spoke to your friends or something like that, and you're like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this thing. Do you think it's a good idea? We'll do this, blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested? Most people, if it's even somewhat relevant for them, are going to be, oh, yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, great idea. Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. Cool. And you're like, great, my idea is validated. I've got a whole wait list. But then when you're like, would you pay for it? Or would you give me your credit card details? Would you, make a deposit, a prepayment? Suddenly people are like, oh, okay. Then the objections come out. And that's important because you need the objections. You need to hear what is it about it that needs to be overcome before people buy. And that's part of the process. So I did a launch back in 2018, I think it was. I had an eco-friendly deodorant company called Bamboo Bar. John will remember Bamboo Bar. And when we did the MVP test for Bamboo Bar, we were production was coming from China, and we needed to, in long story short, we couldn't drop ship. We had to do like a manufacturing run to, get the deodorant shipped off across. It just wasn't going to be viable to do it with prototypes and yada yada. But I was like, I don't want to invest like $4,000, $5,000 in 1,000 units of stock until I know that it's going to sell. So what did I do? I put together a website. I ran paid ads with Instagram, mostly Instagram, also Facebook, but I ran paid ads selling the product, right? So I wanted to find out, do people actually buy this product? I sold the product through a Stripe checkout on the website. I think that's Thunder. Yeah. I sold the product through Stripe checkout on the website. And then after people purchased, I had an automation in place that immediately refunded them and said, thanks for your order. So sorry, we've just checked and we actually don't have stock at the moment. But we'll notify you as soon as we do get stock. Really appreciate your business. And we refunded them straight away. And what that meant was we needed to test, do people actually buy this offer? Is this a product people want? Before I go and get 1,000 units manufactured and ship them from China. And then as a result of that, I think we sold like just a little test, maybe like 15, 20 or something, immediate refunds. I'm like, okay, there's buyer intent. And then we went ahead and did the first run of manufacturing. The business didn't end up succeeding for other reasons, but the lesson is still there. It's like that's how you run one way to run an MVP test, in that case using paid ads selling a physical product to test if people actually do want to buy it with intent. Because if I did a wait list, I can guarantee you, Sophie, if I posted it, for example, John was in my previous community called Scrap the 9 to 5. If I posted it in Scrap the 9 to 5, like, oh, who'd be interested in joining the wait list? That probably would have been like, you know, people were great in there. Yeah, everyone. There were hundreds of people would have signed up to the wait list. But then when I sold it, you know, very few people would have actually bought.
But don't you think that's a poor user experience?
I agree. The user experience is not great for those 20 people. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure, like, obviously no one's going to lose out, right? We're going to immediately refund anyone that buys through the website. Just be like, so sorry. And we gave them, you reminded me, we gave them a coupon as well. We said, when we do get in stock, here's a coupon for $10 off your first order with us as a thank you for your trust. And then we did notify them when we got in stock. I actually don't know how many people bought when we did get in stock. I'm not sure. But yeah, we made sure that the people that bought were covered, the small handful of people, but it was a way to test, would people actually get out their credit card for this product before we go and do the run of 1,000 manufacturing units.
So then in terms of Sophia's question, so you're not a fan on polls.
Polls are good for market research. Basing a product launch, or basing, let's say, a 3-month system build, or basing I don't know, like just a major investment in like, this is a viable business because the polls said so. I think that's dangerous. I think when you're putting money and time and energy on the line to that degree, I think you need more than polls. You need intent. That's the difference. You need to know, will people actually buy what it is you're going to sell? And so you've got to think of a creative way to come up with how can I test intent on the offer? And it could even be something as simple as saying, hey, we've got a special deal for the first 100 people that sign up to the waitlist with a small deposit. If you're interested in this, we're going to give you a 50% discount, which if you stay with us will be grandfathered for lifetime on the membership with us. And for a deposit of just $20, we will secure that for the first 100 people. We need to do this because we need to test if people actually want this before we go and invest to make it happen. Would you do that? You know, that could be an example for you guys to go, okay, well, can we test intent? Will people actually put some skin in the game behind the idea? Do they like the idea?
Why does an email show intent more over a poll?
So, okay, so you're talking about—
That was a weird way to phrase that. Why would emails show intent compared to polls?
Okay, so if you're selling something, so for example, the cold email outreach that I've been talking about now, the offer is, this is what we can do for your construction business. And in fact, let me show you, I'll just show you an email just to give you an idea. So let me share. Do I have it instantly open?
So it's the way you word it.
Well, I'm selling the service. Like, you know, do you want to book a sales call with a view to buy this service, right? So that's the first stage.
So it's not just sharing an email with like, hey guys, here's what's coming.
No.
Download our app or go to our website and sign up.
No.
So it's not just a general email. You're talking about sales emails.
Sales emails, yeah, exactly. So these ones here. So I've got 3 split test batches. This one's already looking significantly in the lead, which is great. We've had 8 replied off of the first day of sending them, which I'm very happy about.
That's amazing.
Thanks, babe.
Wow.
And then okay, cool. So this is the template email. So it got referred to you guys by a mate. How you doing, John? I know this is a long shot, but I heard about you guys a couple of weeks ago from an ex-Aussie construction mate who I'm working with at the moment. I am actually working with an ex-Aussie construction mate. He said you guys are one of the main go-to, and then we've got custom fields. So this is the beauty of where personalization can start coming in the mix. He said you guys are one of the main go-to Brisbane commercial construction companies. Just had another look through your site, and based on your Stratton House project and Keys development project, it looks like you guys are doing all right. And again, this is generated from their actual website. So I figured there's a chance you might spend almost as much time buried in cost estimation spreadsheets as you do on the job. Anyway, there's a decent chance that me and my business partner can save you tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, depending on your revenue range. We build custom cost estimation systems, blah, 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 blah. This would give you a huge edge over the likes of Jason Construction and ACB Construction and Mason's manufacturers, because you could get shit hot, well-crafted proposals out the door more than 10 times faster.
I love that you put shit hot in this sales email.
So I'll touch on the copy in a second and why I specifically, because I literally adapted it to write like this, and I'll explain why, but let me finish. So well-crafted proposals out the door more than 10 times faster than them without spending any of your own time doing it. No hard feelings if this isn't up your street, but thought it was worth an ask, just in case your 2026 goals involve saving a bunch of cash time and getting one up on your competition. Worth a quick look, do you reckon? And then the conversation is, okay, let's have a Zoom meeting. We'll run you through what we can do. If you can tell us where you're spending your most time. And it's basically just like a fact find into a sales call, and then we'll be selling the solution, which is custom built. Got something to add?
Yeah, well, this in the form of a poll. Let's play devil's advocate and say this was a poll.
Sure.
You would send it to construction companies. They will probably not respond to you if it was a poll. And number two is there's no amount of polling that would, I don't know, get like 8 people to want to respond to your email. Like it would basically, the poll wouldn't say this.
A poll, I mean, it wouldn't say this, no.
Yeah.
A poll to a cold audience, almost certainly forget it. And the reason being is you've got to think when you're reaching out to someone, the first thing that's in anyone's minds, mostly subconsciously, sometimes consciously, is what's in it for me. So the second you send a poll, you're asking someone for information. So what's in it for me? Why should I care?
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's got to be some kind of framing about what's in it for them. Why should they do this poll? And then you get into, okay, well, if you're trying to sell them on why they should do the poll, well, maybe you should just sell them on the offer. Because if the purpose of the poll is to find intent for the offer, and you've got to sell them on doing the poll anyway, then you might as well just sell them on the offer. So warm audience, slightly different. Like Sophia, for example, if you went out to the sisterhood ladies and you were like, hey, want some feedback about what you guys would find valuable in the community, immediately what's in it for them is like, well, I'm in the sisterhood. I really get value out of this group and community. I want to tailor it for what I need. So I'd love to give input in a poll because that's going to influence the value that I get out of this great community that I already know and love. That's different. It's also not intent though. Again, keep that in mind. Like the sisterhood girls, if you ask them, do you think this is a good idea? I'm sure 80% of the girls will be like, oh, it's amazing. Like, great. I'd love it. And you're like, would you join the wait list for this? Would you buy this? They'd be like, oh, yeah. Because obviously they support you and they want you to do well. It's not a bad thing, but it's just, you got to choose the right tool for the right purpose. And I think in this case, what we're doing here with this MVP email is we're selling the solution, and I have a sales call booked. First one, we've got another one potentially in the pipeline off of day one of emails. I'm like, yes. But that will be a sales call, and we're going to be selling a 5 to 10 grand solution. And then Matt's going to build it. And that's what the pitch will be. It's a custom built solution for them.
Can you explain why you said shit hot in the email?
Yes, I can. These are Aussie construction business owners. So I structured these campaigns. First of all, I generated, customer fields was gender of the decision maker, 3 competitor values. So competitor 1, 2, 3, which was using Perplexity to go and research Brisbane construction companies, again using their website data. Let me stop share. And then example projects, again scraped from their website. And then there was a couple product service. So I was using this for like what type of company they are. And also
linguistics.
Tone. Yeah. So one of the context documents that I fed in when I generated this copy was a document that was generated by Claude Research containing 500 Aussie tradie lingo like type words that Aussie tradies would use. And so this was fed in as context for the copy to help guide on how to speak a bit more like an Aussie tradie. Instead of going, hi there, I'm reaching out because I'd like to inquire about your cost estimations processes and we can build custom,
We got some shit hot estimation.
Yeah, they're like, mate, look, I'm not being funny, but if you're doing this kind of shit in spreadsheets, you're probably wasting a bunch of hours that we could be saving you. Like that's how the way to speak to someone like that. So immediately it's a breath of fresh air. And I know that because of the response rate off of this bloody campaign. I'm like, there's been altogether, I think it's 14 or 15 responses off of just the first 300 emails sent in the first 24 hours, with one sales call booked, one more in the pipeline already. And like, I've got a lot more days left to go on this campaign, and that's just the split test. And then going to take the winning campaign, and then I'm going to send it to the other 7,000 data records that I have. It's like, fuck, okay. I mean, if you can stand out from everyone else, again, chat GPT copy, everyone's just like, write me an email campaign towards your construction businesses. And then it's the same generic garbage that people just don't even see in their inbox anymore. So you got to think, how can you feed context and how can you stand out? Because that email, and I will, in fact, I'm not going to show you one more now. Again, we'll do this next week. But the way that email reads, it actually reads like I've written it.
It does, yeah.
Like I've literally, looking at your website, checked you guys out because of your competition. I figured this might be useful for businesses that are in your sector. It's all like the idea is it sounds human. It sounds like they would talk. It sounds like all of the info is directly relevant to them, uniquely them, because it is. And in order to generate this personalization, it took a bit more thought about what could I create? Like what would be the offer, and how could I write that into an email that's going to speak their language, and that's going to make it very clear what's in it for them, from the word go. Why should they care? And I then wrote the email, I then reverse engineered it to how would I generate this content. And to give you a quick bit of context, and then I'll shut up for a second. Quick bit of context. Again, most of the guys that teach how to do this on YouTube, because I've also learned, from watching guys on YouTube, they go and generate one personalization field, which would be typically the first paragraph. They'd be like, hey, great work on your such and such project from your website. And I have one email that uses that as well, but plus a bunch of other stuff. But then the rest of it is just template, like, which is fine. Like, they just have the first personalization paragraph, then template. I was thinking, how can I want to make the whole thing sound like it's really tailored for them. How could I do that? And I came up with the idea. This was, I didn't actually see this from anywhere. I just pulled it out of my ass. But the competitor, like the competitors, I was like, if I can use competitors, there's an emotional charge in there. Get one up on like those guys down the road.
For sure.
I'm like, oh, those fuckers, right? If they're not doing it, we want to do it, Aussie trade guy, very competitive with those kind of things. So I was like, let's use competitors in there and example projects as well. Rather than just doing one paragraph personalization, let me reference that a couple of times in the copy, and as well, the product service custom value. So that's what type of company are they? So it's like we think this is the perfect kind of solution for Brisbane driveway companies, which is why I'm reaching out to you. Again, it's a custom field that I was like, if I can use this a couple of times throughout the copy, and it will make it really tailored for each of the 8,500 records that I'm going to email.
I love that too, because a lot of sales emails start off with a custom field, like you said.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the email is all about like what the company can do or what the software can do with no customization. Well, here's how we come in, and then it's like all about us and we, and they kind of forget like who they're talking to, which I guess is a template like what you said, but it does read different.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the last question that Sophia had. If the market votes on so let's say someone were to choose the poll option to find out if something is right for them. If the market votes on your product, so if the poll, one service or product seems to win on the poll, what is your process then to qualify buyers?
So a bit scroll down. Where are you reading?
It's right there.
Oh, I answered that one already.
Oh, that one specifically? If the
yeah.
market votes on your product?
The market.
What is your process to qualify the buyer in a poll?
So, Sophia, can you just help understand? Because I feel like, unless I misunderstood when I first answered. So if you're running social media polls, for example, to sisterhood, right? If say the sisters vote on something that they love within the community, are you asking how would I qualify them with intent? Or is that kind of a different question?
Yeah, correct. And I think you kind of did answer on it a little bit. Hey, sorry.
That's all right. That honey. There it is.
Yeah. So I think you did answer it a little bit, but it's basically like putting an MVP out in a way to test. But I think with the sisterhood, it's a little different, right? Because
Mm,
if I set an MVP and I refunded them, the trust would be broken. So
mm,
it's not really like a tactic that I can take. So it's like, how do you kind of, this is happening right now with one thing that the sisters voted on, which was a master class. And I had like, I don't know, like 14, 15 girls vote on this master class, and that's why I did it. So I put it together and I even
mhm,
lowered the barrier of entry. So usually our master classes are like maybe, let's say in US dollars, like 30, $40, and I lowered it to like 20. And just because I wanted more girls to experience it, because like I had been voted on, and then I got zero bookings, and I was like, okay, what just happened? And
mm,
I've done previous like master classes where I didn't do this tactic at all, and I just kind of threw together whatever I wanted to teach, and I've had more girls show up. Obviously, I've never had zero.
yeah.
So I was wondering like what would have been the better way to qualify them ahead of time. We don't really do email marketing at all, but I did write down the website that you were using to kind of look into it. But
Mm,
yeah, just kind of like how do I qualify them better? How do I kind of better test my market in a way where I'm providing an MVP or something that's actually going to lead somewhere. Right now, I just launched another poll, for example, about our founding members rollout, and I had like some yeses or I want some more information. So then I was
mm.
planning on like reaching out to each of those girls individually when we are ready to roll out and doing like the founder's price and things like that. But I just kind of like want to do stuff before that. Like how do I know? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if that made more sense, but
No, it does. It does. I think, yeah, you're right. I can definitely expand on that. Thank you, Sophia. So so let me talk about, we used to do polls a lot in Scrap the 9 to 5. Again, not necessarily to like launch products. Sometimes it was part of it, but it would be more feedback about what things people struggle with. The difference maker about whether someone's going to buy or not is a great way to look at it is it comes down to sales call objections, right? So if you are on a call with someone and they're telling you all the reasons that they're not ready to buy or that they're hesitant about buying, or the reasons that they don't think it's necessarily going to solve their problem, that's quite different to asking people, what do you want? And then they say, oh, I'd love this, but actually that's probably not the thing that they really need. It sounds nice, but it doesn't actually solve the core root problem. But if you're on a sales call with them, it'd probably be a very different conversation. It will be like, what are you really struggling with? What's actually holding you back? Why have you not been able to break through this before? What would change if you were able to overcome that challenge? This is a whole different conversation than, oh, what shiny program would you like? Right? Both of those are valuable, both of those serve a purpose. But again, for buyer intent, it's very different from just, a poll for feedback. So if I were you, and again, this is back to stuff that I used to do back in the day of Scrap the 9 to 5, I would get on sales calls with people or discovery calls or however you position it. Like, for example, Ryan from Brotherhood, he's got me on in a discovery call on Friday. I
Oh,
know it's a
excellent.
discovery call. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. We'll talk about it because he's launching his Brotherhood mastermind. I'm like, look, I'm open to hearing, what it is you're doing, and maybe I'm not in a position to do it. Maybe it's not the right thing for me. And if it isn't, I'll tell him why, and then he's got great feedback. But the point is that if he put a poll out in the community and said, hey, what programs would you guys be interested in? What I pick will probably not be what will come out in that conversation that me and him have on Friday, because it's a different conversation. It's a discovery call, right? So I'd probably to summarize, I'd be like, think of ways that you can really get to the core of what are the actual pains, problems, and frustrations that the girls are struggling with in their lives, and then how can you solve those problems. And you'll notice themes. If you have a few calls, like a lot of people in our communities back in the day, I think John would have had this as well. You get on calls, you notice themes that come out again and again and again. We had like 2 or 3 big ones in Scrap the 9 to 5 that would it would always be like something to do with one of these 3 things. It's why people were attracted to the community in the first place. So yeah, that's what I try and get to, Sophia. As what's actually so I'm just reading the questions as well. Yeah, I'll come on to that one, John. Nice one. Yeah, what's actually the pain, problem, frustration that's holding them back in their lives? Okay, cool. You're welcome. All good.